30.
Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Macos. Everybody is still bailing out from the flood that we had over the weekend. Basements flooded, cars written off because they got submerged in water. Businesses shut down while they try and repair the damage from the flood. But also damaged was Union United Church in the Sud-West. Svens Telemaque is the church's outreach coordinator and joins us now. Good morning, Svens. How are you doing?
Good morning. We're doing the best we can. And yourself?
I am not flooded, so I'm doing all right, better than some other folks in Montreal right now. So tell me, what is the damage like at Union United?
Oh wow! Well, by a blessing, we were having a concert on Saturday, so we actually had some people in the building.
Oh,
and we had the roof. We had water overflow from the roof go straight through the ceiling. The choir loft goes straight through that ceiling to go through another ceiling, which is in the basement. And we had a lot of issues. I had to get the fire department out here just to make sure everything was sound when it came to the electricity and having contact with water. So right now we're just in the process of cleaning up and seeing insurance agents and stuff like that so we can get the roof repaired.
What has that process been like? Because I know in sort of these mass flooding events where it's not just, your pipe bursts, it's a one-off incident, but when we have an event like this where there's potentially thousands of insurance claims all being filed within a matter of days, have you had issues getting through to your insurance? Were you able to schedule an appraisal visit? How's that going?
No, that is not going too tough. I think It's more a question of finding the right people to do the work because everyone's trying to upsell. So it's having the patience and the discernment to know the best decision to make.
Okay. In conversation with Svens Telemaque, outreach coordinator at Union United Church, which is dealing with cleanup now after the flood that we had over the weekend. So, where do you go from here? Were you able to hold service on Sunday, or is the church closed indefinitely? Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, we were able to hold service. So what was really beautiful is we had a concert on the Saturday. So the church was filled with choir members who actually helped us clean up, still was able to have the concert. And it really showed us the force of community. This is what community is all about.
Yeah, you're right. I was just speaking with somebody who is part of a volunteer brigade, if you will, in Pierrefonds. They were heading out on the weekend to help people out however they could, moving furniture, pumping water, whatever the case may be. And you're right. It's always in circumstances such as these that we are reminded of the power of community because, AI isn't going to come pump the water out of your basement.
Right. But, something on another note I'd like to say, I really feel like it's about time that when it comes to the infrastructure here in Montreal, like in Quebec, it's really time for a change with the amount of tax dollars that citizens pay. We deserve so much more. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, and we get so much more rain, and this happens very seldom. When we get 2 hours of the rain we got on Saturday, that's when we see floods. That was like a flash amount of rain, but our drainage system, all our infrastructure, we really need better representation when it comes to that because, citizens deserve more.
Yeah. And that's decades of ignoring the problem because flooding wasn't an issue in Montreal. These kinds of events used to happen once every 15, 20 years. So it wasn't cost effective to upgrade the system, in the 70s. But now it happens every summer. This is a normal occurrence, but I feel like, politicians haven't kept up. And we talked about this yesterday. It's not very sexy to say you're going to, invest millions of dollars into sewers. There's no ribbon cutting for a sewage upgrade, but it's desperately needed, is it not?
Oh, for sure. And as they happen more and more often, I just see insurance companies kind of backing up, and saying, hey, we don't cover this. And it's really not fair to homeowners. I live in the St. Leonard area.
Okay.
And sometimes we have a lot of people that get flooded as well. So I really, my heart goes out to everyone that had to deal with this on Father's Day, and we had a running joke that a lot of fathers didn't get a break that day, but it's a challenge, it's really a challenge. My heart goes out to everyone and just stay positive and try to keep your your spirit's up.
What kind of help are you needing right now? Is everything under control at this point, or is there anything that you need? Was there anything maybe that was damaged that needs to be replaced? What can people do to help?
Well, right now we're in the process of speaking to different roofers to look at the problem from a bigger point of view, not just the issue that we had, but looking at like a long-term solution so we won't have to worry about if we have like a lot of rain one shot that everything is going to overflow. So if you know of any credible, honest, people that really believe in what we're doing and they want to help, I'd love to get some more submissions from some solid people that are not just looking to make a buck, but looking to really help us serve the community. We have food banks here. We have the AA here. We have music programs for kids in the community. We have so much stuff for seniors to help against senior isolation. So, we're all about purpose here. We're all about service. And, when it comes to roofing and stuff like that, we're not talking about small sums of money. So if anyone out there has a heart, I'd love to hear from them. I'm not saying that we're not going to pay, but I'm just saying someone that really understands what we're doing, please come our way.
Awesome. So where can people go to get in touch with you if they think that they can help out? Do you have a website, an email address, something like that?
Yes. They could reach out at outreach at Union United Church MTL.ca.
Okay.
Or they could call us directly at 514-932-8731, and they could leave a message for Mr. Telemaque, and we'll get back to them.
Well, I do appreciate you joining us and giving us an update on the situation. Hopefully you find somebody to repair the roof, and hopefully the damage isn't too extensive and everything goes smoothly with the insurance agents, and hopefully everything just works out and you don't have this issue again. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
More than a pleasure. You have a beautiful day.
You too as well. That's Svens Telemaque, the outreach coordinator at Union United Church in the Sud-West. I used to pass that church all the time. It's right near Lionel-Groux Metro. Beautiful from the exterior. All the churches in Montreal are beautiful from the exterior. It's one thing that Quebec has that's quite unique compared to other places is we have beautiful churches everywhere. And even if you are not somebody who frequents those churches, they do make our city more beautiful, I think. Not everything looks exactly the same. All the buildings we build now are all gray. You notice that? Everything is gray. It's so boring. We need more stained glass. I think that would make everything a little bit more cheerful. Rainbows always cheer everything up. Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Makos, hanging out with you until 12 p.m. Coming up after traffic. Now that you've pumped all that water out of your basement and the initial crisis has passed, we need to turn our attention towards solutions. And I was just speaking about that with Svens Telemaque a moment ago about the necessary improvements that are needed to our infrastructure, to our drainage systems. I keep seeing a lot of blame online in Facebook groups and even now coming in on the text message line that we need to stop building condos and stop adding new developments and homes. It's such a catch-22 because housing is at its most unaffordable as it's ever been. And one way to keep housing affordable is to build more supply so that there is more housing. But we also need to upgrade the infrastructure to accommodate all of these units. But in order to upgrade the infrastructure, you need more money. Well, how do you get more money? Have more units. You can charge more property tax. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? There are a lot of problems and a lot of things to contend with. But what is the actual upgrades that are required? We keep saying we need to upgrade our sewage system, modernize our drainage systems. What does that mean in practice? After traffic, we're going to speak with an engineer about what exact kinds of infrastructure upgrades are required to ensure that Montreal is more resilient to inclement weather. That's coming up after we check traffic.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Makos Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Macco, still dealing with the fallout and the aftermath from the flood we experienced in Montreal over the weekend. Parts of the city were experiencing significant flooding on Saturday afternoon and evening, and on the South Shore as well. We had heavy rainfall. Transportation was disrupted. Homes were damaged. Basements flooded. Businesses shut down for the second time in 2 years. And all of this has ultimately raised concerns about the city's infrastructure resilience. To better understand what exactly happened, the challenges that are facing urban drainage systems, and what can be done to reduce the impact of future flooding events, we are speaking now with a construction engineer. Jean-Luc Martel is a professor in the construction engineering department at École de technologie supérieure. Hi, Mr. Martel. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, good morning.
Now, I think let's start by first explaining why this happened. Montreal received a lot of rain. Somewhere between 100 and 150 millimeters fell in less than 2 hours, which is a lot of rain. Now, I imagine our sewer system is not designed to handle this much water in such a short period of time.
That is correct. So those intense rainfall that we've had in a very short period of time actually leads to the sewer system being overloaded. And no sewer systems are supposed to be designed with such intense rainfall. This is not the job, if you may, of the sewer system. So what happened is when the sewer system is overloaded, the exceedance of water, the accumulation of runoff water actually will accumulate in low-lying areas and depressions. And what happens is we have homes in those depressions, and actually they get flooded because the network is not able to evacuate all this excessive water.
So you mentioned that sewer systems were not designed for this. Is this because they were designed, in the 60s and 70s, typically for most modern cities in Canada? Or do we need to upgrade them to accommodate these large rainfall events, or is there another solution here?
No, actually, if you were to design the system nowadays, you will do it the same way, because that is not the job of those pipes, essentially. If you were to design a sewer system that was to deal with 100-year return events, like the one we had this weekend, essentially those infrastructure will be way too expensive and we couldn't be affording them. So what we do instead is the sewer is dealing with small or relatively small events, while the road is actually dealing with the larger events. So when you have those big events, we actually want to use a surface to be able to route the excess of water into safe areas like parks, like detention ponds. The problem is back in the days, and even more before 2011 is really the date that we started changing things, is we were only designing the sewers and we're not taking into account what happens to the excess of water in the surface, which leads to accumulation in areas that were not planned to receive this amount of water.
So what should we do with all of this excess water? I guess this is where things like sponge parks and retention containers, this is where this comes into play, right?
This is correct. And the thing is, what we can do is, since we can't redo it all, now we need to adapt ourselves. We need to adapt ourselves to extreme rainfall events that we see more and more with climate change. So we can do sponge parks, we can do detention ponds, underground retention, but we need resources, we need space to do it, we need money to be able to build it. So it's not easy. So we need to adapt ourselves, and we can also adapt our homes to be able to actually withstand those extreme rainfall events.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot on social media right now. In the last couple of days, people are just blaming the city, blaming the government, saying we need to upgrade our sewers. But it sounds like that's not actually the solution. And like you said, it's expensive. There have been municipalities who've tried to make upgrades. They just don't have the money. They don't have enough money to make these kinds of upgrades. So what can homeowners do to upgrade their own properties and protect themselves?
And you're totally correct saying that. And ultimately, we're the one that will be paying for that. Yep. Even if we're trying to upgrade those sewer systems, it will be citizens like you and I that will be paying for that. So what we can do actually is we can try to upgrade our home to limit our exposure and limit how vulnerable we are to actual flood events. The thing is, all those events will be flooding the basements. The basements are the area that will be receiving this amount of water. So if we prevent the water from entering the basements, let's say you have those river slope garage entrance, if you remove those or you put waterproof doors, you can actually reduce the amount of water that can enter the basement. You can also have backwater valve that you need to have actually to prevent sewer backups. And what you can also do is you can rebuild better. You can remove those wood floor, those different furniture that you may have that actually are sensible to water, and you can just have, let's say, ceramic, and you can not use a basement as we've been using basement in the past. So rethinking the way we do things will be improving the situation quite a bit.
Absolutely. I do have a question about urban development, because this is another complaint that we've been receiving on the text line and that I've been seeing on social media. I've seen people calling for, a moratorium on all condo development. Stop putting up new apartment buildings. Stop building new houses. Our infrastructure can't support it. What sort of impact does having, more housing have on existing infrastructure systems? Obviously, it puts more pressure on the system, but is it so much pressure that we should halt development altogether?
Actually, this is a misconception. If we're talking about stormwater, having new development will actually improve the situation. The main reason is because we have municipal regulation in place that actually prevents new development from releasing too much water. So new development will be releasing less water, even though they have more impervious surfaces like asphalt and concrete. So the thing is, new development will somewhat be actually improving the situation. So that's not expected, but this is what will be happening because of this regulation.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm so glad you told me that. Now I have that information to tell other people when I see this complaint coming up. Okay, so what can we do in the meantime? You mentioned the backflow valves. You mentioned changing the way that you use your basement. You mentioned that, cities need to have more sponge parks and retention bins, but it costs a lot of money. So I guess one of the things we need is for the provincial and federal governments to really get serious about climate change. If these kinds of events are going to start happening more and more often, we better be prepared.
That is correct. And what I will invite people to do is there are resources online available. There's Architects Without Borders Quebec. There's Ecohabitation that provides really nice guidelines on how to build back better, to build basement our resilience to future flooding, essentially. So I will invite people to take those resources into consideration when they're going to build back when they're going to do renovation of their basement, because right now we have a sort of opportunity to build back better, essentially. And I think provincial governments and municipalities as well should be in line to provide more subsidies to help people actually do that, because this will be somewhat more expensive. But if we are building in a way that we're more resilient to those flooding, we won't have to pay for those damages in the future, or at least less damages. So I'll be better.
Would you recommend that folks who have a sloped driveway fill it in? Maybe no one I know actually parks in their garage. Everybody parks in the driveway with a tempo over it in the winter, and their garage is just used for storage. So it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. Would you recommend filling in a sloped driveway?
That will be a really good idea, actually, because this is the main entrance for water. In most cases, this is where the water will actually enter the basement. So if you can fill it back up, or at least put a waterproof door, which is indeed expensive, this will definitely be helping the situation for a lot of people.
Excellent. Jean-Luc Martel is a professor in the construction engineering department at École de technologie supérieure. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jean-Luc. I really appreciate it. And you've given me something that I can use now, because people are always telling me it's all about the condos. And now I can say, no, I spoke to Jean-Luc Martel and he says that's not true. So thank you for that. I love proving people wrong.
This is great. Thank you for having me. Have a good time.
You too. Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Makos, still hanging out with you for another half hour or so. Coming up after the news, a Uyghur activist is campaigning for her sister to be released from China. And she is actually in Montreal right now. She's going to be receiving a Human Rights Award, which is quite prestigious indeed. So she's going to be joining us after the news. Looking forward to speaking with her. And then a little bit later on, we are going to be joined by Aaron Rand. He's got Montreal Now this afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. on CJAD 800. So he's going to stop by, tell us what he's got coming up on the big show this afternoon. And I don't know if you remember this, but I used to be Aaron Rand's producer for many, many years. We worked together. So I like to think that I know Aaron pretty well. I have a pretty good idea of what makes him laugh. That was something I always strive to do, is make Aaron Rand laugh. That was something that was a really fun part of working with him. And I think I have a way that I can make him laugh. And I'm going to share that with him when he joins me just before the 12 o'clock news, when we wrap up here on the Elias Makos Show. I believe Elias is off again tomorrow, by the way. I won't be here. Someone else will be here. Dan Delmar will be in for Elias tomorrow, and then Elias will be back on Thursday. I know people were very worried. Where's Elias? He just took a couple days off. We've got a holiday that falls on a Wednesday. Why not take the Monday? I think that's genius, actually. I should have done that. Coming up after the news, as I said, we will be speaking with that Uyghur activist who's receiving a Human Rights Award. She's going to be joining us after the 11:30 news with Jay.
Close your eyes. and you can hear the entire world come alive. 2026 FIFA World Cup is on, and you can stream it all live on TSN Radio. From the opening kickoff to the final celebration, every match, every moment. Listen to FIFA World Cup on TSN Radio.
Here's Canada the liftoff.
Available on iHeartRadio.
Missed something?
Subscribe to the Elias Macco Show podcast to catch up.
Available on iHeartRadio and wherever you get your podcasts.
A Uyghur activist who's campaigning for her sister to be released from China is in Montreal to receive a Human Rights Award. She joins us next.
When the news breaks, be the first to know with CJAD 800.
A CIBC economist expects the Bank of Canada won't lose its cool over a recent spike in inflation.
Get it first. Get it right with breaking news emails sent to your inbox. Sign up today at CJAD800.com.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
Breaking news. Considered.
The
Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
Robin Flynn filling in for Elias Macco's quick change of plans. Soraya Martinez Ferrada, mayor of Montreal, is giving a press conference right now, an update on that deadly shooting yesterday in Montreal. We're going to take you to it live now.
Merci Stéphanie et merci à l'ensemble des élus qui sont présents ici ce matin avec nous. Vous savez, quand une communauté est aussi fortement touchée comme une communauté dans celle de Côte-des-Neiges NDG, où on se le disait ce matin, c'est comme un petit village. Hein. Les gens se connaissent, les gens connaissaient d'ailleurs le policier Mohamed. Je pense que c'est important de venir voir les gens sur le terrain et leur dire merci. Il y a des centres communautaires locaux qui ont ouvert leurs portes hier pour que les gens se réfugient dans leur centre communautaire pendant des heures. Les ont rassurés, les ont nourris. Je pense que ça fait partie aussi de venir voir les gens sur le terrain et leur dire merci dans des moments de crise et de grande anxiété comme celle qu'ils ont vécue hier, d'avoir des gens sur le terrain qui étaient aussi des piliers de la communauté, qui ont aidé les personnes qui étaient en détresse. Je pense que c'est une façon de venir les supporter, leur donner tout notre soutien. Bien sûr qu'il reste, et je le sais, vous avez, nous tous, beaucoup de questions. Actuellement, l'enquête est dans les mains du bureau d'enquête indépendante. Il y a beaucoup de choses que nous devrons attendre avant de pouvoir commenter, vous en êtes bien conscients. Mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, ce qui est important, c'est d'adresser le après-coup. L'adrénaline d'hier, des gens qui étaient en mode de survie, ne sachant pas ce qui se passait, aujourd'hui, ils vont être en mode de « je peux pas aller travailler, j'ai peur de sortir dans la rue ». Il faut leur dire l'aide est là. Ce que Stéphanie a dit, le téléphone, il existe. Appelez si vous avez besoin d'aide. Le 811, l'option 2. Appelez, les gens sont là pour vous soutenir. Il y a des gens ce matin au centre où nous sommes allés les gens ne sont pas rentrés travailler ce matin et on les comprend. Je pense qu'aujourd'hui, Montréal doit être uni face à ce deuil, face à cette détresse de notre communauté. Puis travailler ensemble pour que les gens reprennent un sentiment de sécurité à Montréal. Parce que la ville, oui, même si on sent cet événement unique, exceptionnel et tragique que nous avons vécu hier, Montréal est une ville sécuritaire et on doit s'assurer qu'elle le demeure, puis que les gens ils sentent qu'ils peuvent avoir confiance dans cette ville. Et je finirai avec la famille endeuillée qui est celle du SPVM. Ce matin, j'ai salué des policiers qui sécurisaient le périmètre où la tragédie a eu lieu. Imaginez sécuriser un périmètre où ils ont perdu un des leurs hier. Allez les voir, leur dire merci, saluer pour leur service. C'est terrible ce qui s'est passé hier. J'ai reçu des messages de deuil, de condoléances de partout. du Canada, de l'extérieur du Canada. Cette histoire va faire le tour du monde et je pense que les gens y vivent ce deuil avec nous. On ne peut pas vivre dans un pays, dans une ville, dans une communauté où tu risques de mourir au bout d'un fusil. Et ce qui s'est passé hier ne devrait pas se reproduire nulle part. Puis une chance qu'on a un service de police dédié à protéger ses citoyens. Merci.
Merci, Madame la Mairesse. So, just a few words in English. So good morning, welcome to Côte-des-Neiges. I wish we were welcoming you under very different circumstances. I am standing in front of you all today with the Mayor of Montreal, but as well with my colleagues of the Borough Council of Côte-des-Neiges and my colleagues from the federal level and the provincial level, Mr. Anthony Housefather and Miss Elizabeth Prass. I'm speaking with you all today with a very heavy heart. What we've lived in the last 24 hours, I don't wish it on anyone. I think that everyone can agree with me today that what we just lived in Côte-des-Neiges NDG was a complete nightmare. It was a tragedy that we're going to be living with for the next few months for sure as a community. In Côte-des-Neiges NDG, anybody that knows our borough, they know that we are a borough that is dynamic, that is vibrant, that is welcoming. You know, we have 75% of our population is from immigrant background. We are just a community that we are so proud of. And we really lived the loss today, yesterday and today and for the next few days. And so I want to wish to Mohamed Lamine Ben Redouane, to his family, to his friends, to his loved ones, anyone that was touched by his life, we are so sorry. We want to send our condolences to everyone, his colleagues at the SPBM, at the PDQ locally here. I don't even know how to say when you have someone that grew up in the neighborhood, decided to serve his community in a way that he did by ultimately losing his life. It was an act of heroism that I can't highlight further, and I just want his family and his loved ones to know that we are with them and we mourn with them. To the officer that was injured as well, I wish you a speedy recovery and I thank you for your work on the ground. To the citizen who has tragically lost his life, I offer my deepest sympathies to him, his family, everyone that loves him, and to his community. Please know that we are with you during this very difficult time. To the citizens of Côte-des-Neiges NDG who witnessed the horrifying scenes yesterday, from far or from close, to everyone who struggled to sleep last night, please know that we are with you, that we cried with you last night. And I hope that for those that you hold the ones you love so close to you. The Borough of Côte-des-Neiges NDG stands in support with you. If you need anyone to talk to, if there are resources that you are looking for, please know that they exist and they are available to you. Call 811 option 2 and you will have someone at the end of the line at all times of the day to support you in whatever you need. I also want to express my deepest gratitude to our first responders, the police officers, paramedics, and firefighters who intervened at the scene. A special mention for the Commandant Mathieu Fournier-Landry. He's heading right now the PDQ 26, which is our local PDQ. Him and his teams worked tirelessly yesterday to ensure the safety of our residents and of our community, and for that, we are so grateful. Although the situation is now over, I know that the psychological wounds will take time to heal. Over the coming days, we will work in close collaboration with community organizations on the ground and our healthcare network. I will personally ensure that all support resources are at your disposal and easily accessible, and we will also remain in constant communication with the local PDQ as the investigation continues. In Côte-des-Neiges, Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, we are united, we are proud, and we are a supportive community. The strength of our borough lies in our resilience. And let me tell you, we are a resilient community. Sometimes too resilient that we see things happen often and time again in our borough. In the face of this terrible act of violence, We will support one another. We will be there for one another like we've always been, because we are a strong community, we are a proud community, and we will continue the work that we do here for our communities. Thank you so much.
That was Côte-des-Neiges NDG Mayor Stephanie Valenzuela. We'll take you back now as Soraya Martinez Ferrada, Mayor of Montreal, speaks in English.
I just want to thank all the first responders. I actually gave my condolences to a few police officers that were actually holding the perimeter this morning, and you can feel the pain. And I think it's important that all Montrealers are behind what happened yesterday and give our words of thoughts to the family, to the lost ones, and to the community of Côte-des-Neiges and NDG that will need help to get over this strategy. Yesterday, people were in the mode of survival. Of course, you don't feel that pain, but you feel it today. Some people didn't show up at work this morning because they are scared. And we need to be there for all Montrealers to know and remember that this, even though we had a tragic event yesterday, Montreal, they can feel safe in the city, and that's our main objective, is making sure that people will feel safe and are safe. And that's what we're going to do in the next few weeks, working with the borough and meeting with community and leaders of community to make sure that people get what they need to get through this ordeal. Thank you.
Merci. Donc, on va passer une couple de questions sur le sujet du jour. Bien évidemment, on ne peut pas commenter l'enquête en cours, donc juste nommer votre nom média.
Olivier Robichaud, Journal Métro.
Il y avait
Bonjour. We are listening to a press conference right now. Soraya Martinez Ferrada, Mayor of Montreal, is holding with the Mayor of Côte-des-Neiges NDG, Stephanie Valenzuela. We'll go back to it now and hear some of the questions from reporters.
J'ai encore eu l'opportunité de parler directement avec les membres de la famille. Par contre, j'ai eu des conversations ce matin avec plusieurs membres de la communauté qui le connaissaient très bien et qui est en communication avec la famille. Donc, pour l'instant, voici la situation pour aujourd'hui, mais c'est sûr qu'on va être en communication avec eux par la suite.
Oui, absolument. Je pense que dès que nous pourrons le faire, nous allons effectivement nous assurer d'être en contact avec la famille et bien sûr tous les gens autour des gens qui ont perdu leur vie hier. Nous serons bien sûr présents dans les funérailles à venir, bien évidemment. Mais pour l'instant, vous comprendrez que même le bureau d'enquête n'a pas encore confirmé le nom de la victime, même si son nom se retrouve dans les médias. Donc, nous sommes en attente des informations du bureau d'enquête pour être en mesure de pouvoir contacter la famille.
On avait une question pour ce qui est de la nature, ou du moins les éléments qui ressortent des motifs de l'assaillant. On a une idée, on a reçu pour la plupart des médias un manifeste, on sait un peu de quoi on parle ici. C'est des idéologies, c'est quelque chose qui nous touche en tant que société, mais aussi à Montréal, c'est quelque chose peut-être qu'il va y avoir une conversation à avoir sur ces thèmes. Je ne les dis pas parce qu'on ne va pas glorifier aussi ce qui est dit dans tout ça. Mais si vous voyez de quoi je parle, est-ce que vous pouvez me dire quelque chose là-dessus?
Bien sûr, je peux pas non plus commenter sur le document qui circule en ce moment. Il fait partie de l'enquête, comme vous le savez, par le bureau d'enquête indépendant, le BEI. Par contre, ce que je peux vous dire et ce que j'ai mentionné hier, bien que notre ville elle est sécuritaire, il faut qu'on soit conscient qu'il y a quelque chose qui se passe dans les médias sociaux, qu'il y a quelque chose qui se passe dans un monde qui est beaucoup plus difficile à contrôler. Et d'avoir une vigie aussi sur ce qui se passe, sur une montée aussi d'une haine qui est en fait des fois non rationnelle et qui touche non seulement certaines personnes plus âgées, mais aussi beaucoup nos jeunes actuellement. Et moi, ce qui m'inquiète, c'est de voir travailler avec le SPVM. SPVM a développé aussi une grande connaissance sur ce qu'on appelle la cybersécurité. Beaucoup de jeunes se font recruter maintenant à travers les médias sociaux. Donc, je pense qu'on aura un travail à faire à l'avenir sur comment on va préserver ces espaces qui, finalement, ne sont pas dans l'espace tangible d'une rue. Là. Ils sont dans l'ère numérique et beaucoup plus difficiles à contrôler. Et je pense que c'est une des choses sur lesquelles nous aurons à travailler avec le SPVM à l'avenir.
Olivier Robichaud avec le Journal Métro. La question s'adresse aux deux mairesses. L'assaillant venait de loin, de l'Alberta. Qu'est-ce que ça évoque comme réaction chez vous, quelqu'un qui vient d'aussi loin que ça, pour viser Montréal, pour faire un attentat comme ça?
Ben, encore une fois, tu comprends, Olivier, que je peux pas non plus confirmer ou infirmer ce que tu viens de poser comme question. La seule chose que je pourrais répondre à ça, c'est que ce qui nous inquiète, c'est comment quelqu'un encore aujourd'hui, en 2026, peut prendre un fusil puis être allé dans une rue publique puis tirer sur des gens. Je veux dire, au-delà qu'ils viennent d'ici ou d'ailleurs, moi, ce que je veux m'assurer, c'est qu'on s'attaque à le port d'armes, qu'on s'attaque au fait qu'encore une fois aujourd'hui, on se retrouve avec des gens qui ont des armes et qui peuvent se retrouver dans les rues de Montréal et attaquer des gens comme on a vu hier. Ça m'inquiète, qu'ils viennent d'ici ou d'ailleurs.
Est-ce que le contrôle des armes à feu doit être encore resserré à votre avis?
Bien, absolument. Il y a encore, tu sais, je veux dire, juste la question des armes de poing. Vous savez, je venais du fédéral. Anthony, je suis sûre qu'il serait capable de vous donner un peu d'avis là-dessus. On a fait énormément de travail sur la question des ports d'armes, mais il y a encore du travail à faire. Il y a encore un travail aussi de culture à faire par rapport à qui peut porter des armes, que tu sois un chasseur ou certaines communautés qui défendent le fait du port d'armes. Mais on s'entend, là, dans une ville comme Montréal, d'une municipalité, les armes n'ont pas leur place.
Elisabeth Laplante, pour les nouvelles, vous avez rencontré des commerçants, des citoyens ce matin, ils vous disent quoi? C'est quoi le sentiment qu'ils vous ont partagé aujourd'hui?
Peux-tu parler de ta communauté?
Oui. Bien, merci pour la question. En fait, durant notre visite, des résidents, des commerçants, des organismes sur le terrain, mais le sentiment est une douleur que tout le monde partage en ce moment. Les gens sont encore sous le choc. Il y a certaines personnes qui ont peur de sortir de chez eux, de faire les courses normales qu'ils faisaient, parce qu'on s'entend le secteur qui a été visé hier. Il y a des restaurants, il y a des épiceries. C'est une place où les gens vivent. Puis là, c'est à l'extérieur de chez eux où ils vont vivre et revivre les scènes d'hier. Donc, c'est très, très difficile en ce moment pour les résidents de Côte-des-Neiges de Grâce, les commerçants, les organismes sur le terrain. Puis, tout ce qu'on peut faire pour eux maintenant, c'est d'être là pour eux, les appuyer dans ce qu'ils vivent en ce moment et être là pour les écouter.
Est-ce qu'il y avait d'autres questions? En anglais? Oui, en anglais, non, c'est pas
Mrs. Valenzuela, what more can you tell us about the police officer who lost his life and his upbringing around here?
I can't tell you exactly. I didn't know him personally, but he's 2 years younger than me. He went to school in the neighborhood, and many of my friends, many people in my network knew him personally. So much to the point that this morning when I woke up on my social media, there were flashback pictures of him from high school with close friends and family members. So it's very personal. It hits very close to home, and it's just really devastating.
And Madame Martinez, how surprised are you that something like this happened here in Montreal?
I'm very surprised. I mean, Montreal, when was the last time we had an event like this? I mean, and at some point, I think Montreal, at some point, it's hit very hard by this because it hits on that sentiment of security and that something can happen in our cities like that. Of course, it will take some time to recover. But again, I want to reassure Montrealers that Montreal is safe and that we need to rely on each other and making sure that we are also, all of us, I wouldn't say responsible, but working together to make sure that our community feels safe and are safe.
What are the biggest questions you have? I know you can't comment on the investigation, but what do you want to know?
I would say how can we prevent something like this? People sometimes were desperate. They find a way to say it somehow. And so my question would be, how can we do better in the future to prevent something like this? And what are those, where do we look to make sure that we are making sure that we catch this before it happens?
You talked about in French a little bit about the ideology that seems to be, of course it's part of the investigation, but that seems to be in the background of this particular, we saw the manifesto. And I'm wondering about what are your thoughts on how society, what can be done? How do you start a conversation? We've had this conversation in Montreal in the past.
Yeah.
How do you start the conversation?
I think media has changed. The way that people talk to each other has changed. If you look at social media today, how can people think it's okay to talked about people in a way that you wouldn't say it in person. So I think we have to work on making sure that our city and our people in our community feel safe, not only in the public space, but also on our social media. When you see recruitment of young people through social media, it is very concerning. So, and when you see recruitment, it's not only recruitment in terms of doing something criminal, but it's also on the ideology behind social media. So I think there has to be a way that we work more together around making sure that those conversations that are happening in social media, we can actually address them and also fight against those conversations that are not very positive to all communities. I'll give you an example. Yesterday, we saw many images in social media about what was happening, and very graphic. How can we accept that? It desensitizes, ça enlève la sensibilité. Thank you, desensitized, right? We can't accept that. As a society, we need to be respectful and make sure that we're also prevailing around the dignity of the police officer that we saw yesterday and the family that had to actually see those images. So I think social media and that digital space will be one of the biggest challenges we have for the future, to make sure that our cities and our communities are safe and that we're preserving a good conversation, a positive conversation that sometimes just derails in social media.
That was Montreal Mayor Soraya Martinez Ferrada holding a press conference with Côte-des-Neiges NDG Mayor Stephanie Valenzuela, talking about the shooting yesterday that left several people dead, others injured, and many more traumatized today. The mayor specifically spoke about how for a lot of people, this is their neighborhood. This is where they work. This is where they live. And today they may have felt too scared to go to work. They may be too afraid to be at home. A reminder that you can call 811 option 2 if you feel like you need help, if you're feeling traumatized by what you saw yesterday. The mayor also mentioned specifically that police are still on the scene. I've gotten a few texts this morning asking about why there's still so many police in the area, at least 50 police cars in that area. They're still securing the perimeter. There's an investigation ongoing. And the mayor did ask Montrealers to keep the Montreal police force and their officers in your thoughts as they're continuing to do their job under very difficult circumstances. They lost one of their own yesterday, and many of them witnessed losing one of their own yesterday. Joining me now is Aaron Rand, host of Montreal Now. He's going to be on the air this afternoon from 2 to 6 p.m. Aaron, thoughts, reactions to what we just heard from the mayors?
I guess, Robin, just off the top, the mayor and Stephanie Valenzuela, the mayor of that borough, pretty much saying, I think, what all Montrealers feel today. And this idea of, feeling safe in your neighborhood. It's going to be tough for people who lived in that area around the Westbury condos where this all took place. And even in that perimeter, because it was a pretty wide perimeter that had been sealed off. This is going to take a few days to try to understand, comprehend, if you ever can understand. You're dealing with someone here, from what we know, who had his specific reasons for doing what he did. And that doesn't make sense, I think, to most of us. So we will have to wait and see. And I think it's important that, I think what both the mayor and Stephanie Valenzuela said, and you just repeated, if you do need help in dealing with this, the resources are there.
I imagine you're going to be covering this on the show this afternoon?
Yeah, we'll have some of what was said. I imagine there'll be more coming from this as well. If there's anything updated from the Montreal Police, any more information at all coming forth, clearly we'll be on that too.
Awesome. What else you got coming up, Aaron?
So we're going to talk a little bit about this announcement the other day from, I guess this would be the MSB and the Quebec School Board Associations on the, the cuts to adult and vocational education that the CAC has implemented or is about to implement. Suggesting that, don't worry, everybody who was in the English program will be able to fit into the French program. Well, it turns out that's just wishful thinking. We'll talk to Joe Ortona about that because the numbers are actually pretty bad. And in fact, there's even more bad news today. Some of the cuts were going to happen in special needs. I think they said originally 70 people. It looks like there may have to be more cut from that program. So he's going to join us at about 3:20. Dr. Joe will be along today as well. I think one of the items I think that Dr. Joe is going to talk about today is hydration. Oh. Which is interesting because I just read a piece on this. Apparently, Robin, did you know water is not the only answer?
No, you need electrolytes too, right?
So he'll talk about that too. How'd you know that?
I was ill. Peyton and I were sick a few weeks ago, so we had to focus on our electrolyte intake for a couple of days there.
James Manny, Rudy Housen is going to be along, talk politics as well, all that and more, as they say.
Awesome. Aaron, it was good talking with you. I wish we had more time. We should get lunch sometime. I miss you.
Lunch is hard, but breakfast works.
Breakfast. I'm great at breakfast. Cool. Let's do that.
All right. Take care.
Talk to you later. That pretty much does it for us. A little bit crazy with that press conference.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Keep it locked to CJAD. We're going to have any updates for you throughout the day. If the police speak, you can bet that we're going to be all over that. We'll replay some of the clips from the mayor a little bit later on as well. Stay tuned for Vashi Kapelos and Aaron Rand with Montreal Now at 2 p.m. My thanks to Maxime Cadet and Jay Farrar for producing the show. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with me the last couple of days. Dan Delmar is in for Elias tomorrow. And stay tuned for your news with Jason Mayoff next.
Close your eyes and you can hear the entire world come alive. 2026 FIFA World Cup is on, and you can stream it all live on TSN Radio. From the opening kickoff to the final celebration, every match, every moment. Listen to FIFA World Cup on TSN Radio.
Gives Canada the liftoff.
Available on iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.
You're listening to the Voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Pride is like love. You feel it in your heart. iHeartRadio, Canada's #1 streaming app for radio and podcasts, including iHeart Pride Canada, your favorite hits, and must-have party bangers, plus personalized and curated playlists like Back in the Day Pride.
Come together, celebrate love.
Take Pride with you, anytime, anywhere. Just ask your smart speaker to play iHeart Pride Canada. Stream us on your phone or listen now at iHeartRadio.ca.